Brock, Seahawks going to take on the Niners on Sunday. Brady called it a must-win game. I can't really disagree. At the very least, you got to win one of the next two. I think that's sort of fair in terms of must-win. I don't know if it has to be this one, but it probably does, right? I mean, you really realistically need to win both of these next two games to really make the latter half of this season count. If not, then some of these conversations we've had about rebuilding become, I think, a whole lot more relevant, right?
Yeah, I think I kind of lean that way. And I know we had that discussion, Salk, a while back or early in the week. Is this a rebuild off of Kurt Menefee's comments? And yeah, I have a hard time absorbing that, not just because it has some negative connotations, but, well, we got to build it back. You know, we got to step back. You don't have to step back. Like the NFL is not necessarily like that, in my opinion. Now, if you do what they're doing, and yeah, you have a whole new young staff and a first-time head coach, there's going to be a learning curve to climb. I'm not naive to that. But I think, with the personnel department in place, John Schneider in place, the culture in place, this was a vision. The vision for Jody and ownership was bring new coaching in, bring new young guns in, bring some new scheme to this talent, and go make the playoffs. And I don't think the charge was, hey, we'll be patient with the rebuild.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Now, most of the positive contributions they've gotten on this team have been from guys that were already here. Not from guys that they brought in once Mike Macdonald was named the head coach. And I'm not blaming Macdonald for that. I'm just saying that if the issue is you need the right personnel for what he wants to play, how come the new personnel isn't the solution? They've been more of the problem.
Yeah, because I think in reality, let's be very real and honest about many of these transactions. They were all 1 year market friendly for a reason. This was not, hey, signed this guy for 5 years and $50 million and he doesn't fit. This was not taking a swing at Patrick Queen. This was taking a swing at a 1 year,
it's true,
couple $1 million on Dotson, because we don't really know. We don't have the room for the Patrick Queens. We got the room to take a look at these one and dones, and maybe some of them are hit, maybe some of them won't. A little kind of like Moncada, like a little flyer. Let's take a little flyer on this guy. And it was more than that, because you need.
But if that's what you were doing, Brock, if you were just taking flyers, then it was a bit of a rebuild.
Well, that's what you had. That's what you had salary cap space for. You have been committed. No, you committed to Leonard Williams, right? You're committed to Tyler Lockett. You're committed to DK Metcalf. You're committed to quite a bit of salary on this roster already. It wasn't as if. This wasn't like 5 years ago when they had $70 million in cap space or whatever.
No,
it was,
but
right?
There was more they could have done if that was the direction they wanted to go.
They could have. They could have signed Jordan Brooks, right?
They could have signed Patrick Queen.
They could have signed Patrick Queen. They could have signed both those guys. Yeah. But decided, no, let's go in this direction.
I mean, what if they had Patrick Queen and the rookie linebacker, Tyrese Knight?
They could have.
I mean, would that be better than what they've done?
Don't know. But I do know that what they did have and they did run out, not good enough. Not good enough right now, and certainly not good enough to build to the future. So, and we've got, 8 games here to evaluate this 4th rounder. Let's see if there is more there. And let's see if he is a guy that we can count on. And if so, and Ernest Jones likewise. Man, if Ernest Jones proves to be a difference maker over these next 8 or 9 weeks, guess what he's going to have? A new 3-year deal to be a Seahawk, because that linebacker position in this scheme, really important for this head coach. And it, just further kind of magnifies this game. By the way, I'm going back and looking. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted because I'm going back and looking at the Thursday night game. Do you remember the 49er game on Thursday night vividly? Very well at all? Do you know that the Seahawks were down 23-3 in that game? You remember that? Interception, Laviska Shenault fumble, turnover, 23-3 in your own building in the 3rd quarter against these guys, which is why a 6.5 point spread feels a little small to me. Now you get the Shenault touchdown, you come back and get another touchdown, and then unfortunately a 3rd turnover really just kind of ended the whole thing. They go score and punch you in the face and finish 36-24.
Yeah.
Yeah,
got kind of ugly at the end.
It got kind of ugly
with Kittle and what's the fullback's name? Just kind of going back and forth. Juszczyk jumping into the end zone with their girlfriends.
You can't. This has been. You said, hey, let's kind of forecast and talk through this matchup. This has not been a pleasurable. I don't really want to do that, because this is one that's not been favorable. This is one that it feels like San Francisco has just absolutely had their way.
Yeah.
And when it's been close, it was more of like, well, they're just kind of toying with you. It's felt like the Mariners playing the Dodgers this last year in that series. We're like, well, you're kind of close. You're kind of playing with them, but they're just kind of toying with you, and then they'll step on the gas and they'll just sweep you away. Like between Debo and Juszczyk and Kittle and Bosa and Warner, like you've not had an answer for hardly any of their operation at all.
I think that's true.
And now throw Christian McCaffrey in there too, and it's like, my gosh, what are you going to do? How are you going to find a way to win this game? And oh, by the way, they're in a place of great urgency, right? They're in a place now of a little more health. They're in a place where like, okay, time for us to step on the gas. Went down to Tampa, kind of sloppy, missed 3 field goals. Okay, we are the preeminent roster. We are the preeminent team in this division. And golly, like this just does not matchup-wise feel very favorable.
If the Seahawks are going to win this game, is it the offense or the defense that's going to get that done for them?
Yeah, to me, yes. I mean,
right.
They've got to play complementary ball.
I know the answer to that one is yes.
Yeah.
But
it's complimentary, but I would lean more on the defense. If they can just kind of hang around and hold to some field goals, or maybe they miss a field goal, or maybe, as I said, there's a fluky tip ball at the line of scrimmage that falls into your hands, that the defense and the special teams are going to have to be, just terrific. And then, I think DK can move the ball. You can move the ball. You do know the defense and the scheme they play. And as long as, you can somewhat be functional and block, and if Bosa doesn't play, and DK is back, and Tyler is back, and JSN is back, and Geno's, right? I know they're big ifs.
Big ifs on there.
But I think the defense is going to have to, they're going to have to be different. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to force the issue and create some takeaways, create a short field, hold to some field goals.
They have done some of that this year at times. I know they went a few weeks without an interception, like longer than you would want. They have forced some fumbles. They have, and they've got some guys that do that, whether it's a strip sack now and again, or, we've seen every time Kobe Bryant plays, he just seems to find a way to knock the ball loose at some point. That's not to say he won't make some mistakes. I think he does. He's not a perfect player, but he does have a knack for finding the football, and some guys just have that. He's one of them, and that's sort of always been the case with him. So, I tend to agree with all of that, Brock, that if it's going to happen, it's going to be this defense, that they're going to need to force some turnovers, and they're probably going to need a break or two, and probably going to need San Francisco to make a few mistakes. That's a lot of ifs for all those things to go down, but you could write a script where you certainly, where you come out and beat San Francisco this week.
And by the way, I believe I was reading somewhere that the Seahawks pressured and got to Brock Purdy more than any other team this season. Like that, if you remember that first game, it wasn't like Brock Purdy was sitting back there patting the ball and smoking a cigarette like Len Dawson. No, like he had to scramble, and he stepped up and he scrambled and he created and he extended plays. That was part of the problem. In fact, cut two, Mike McDonald was asked in the presser, like, hey man, you just played these guys a month ago. How beneficial that you know them and you have a plan for them? Mike McDonald answered that pretty clearly.
You definitely take into account. You can't take it, play by play verbatim, but that's kind of the secret. That's the secret question, right? Is what matters, what doesn't. How have you evolved? How do you take the next step? How do you answer certain things? Comes down to how well we play. That's always the way when you're playing a team a second time, sometimes a third time. So we'll see a lot of these guys.
I think the first time around, it felt like San Francisco had a pretty good beat on you. Mm-hmm. Felt like there was some predictability, and we've talked about that quite a bit in your offense, in your scheme, in your style. There was some predictable nature to it. Coming off of a bye, you have got to take advantage of this. You've got to be able to do some things now where San Fran's like, oh, okay, that's a little different. Wow, they're under center. Okay, there's a little play action. That right tackle is.
You're going to surprise them.
People. You have to. Yeah, you're not going to line up. If you line up in the shotgun 85% of the time again, and you're running your conventional run stuff, Fred Warner is going to sniff it out, and he's going to hit K9 at the line of scrimmage over and over and over again. Right? If you get back there and you have the same, launch point in that shotgun for Geno time after time after time, guess what? Nick Bosa knows exactly that direct
route. Is that launch point thing a big deal?
Yes.
I mean, because McDonald talked about that on the other side of it, right? With Brock Purdy saying that he does alter where he's at a lot.
He's a tough guy to get on the ground, and he is looking to kind of extend plays more this year. That adds an element to their offense that you definitely have to account for. So how you build the rush plan pressure-wise, it's not tough because it's not easy to just throw a bunch of bodies at them because he understands when they're hot and where to go with the ball, and they have answers built into all those types of things. So. Yeah, you got to try to get them on the ground. Now we have things we're trying to do. We'll save that for our discussions, but it's definitely a point of emphasis.
So that's the thing, right? Varying your drops, whether you're bootlegging, going left, going right, all that type of stuff,
Sprint
right?
out and play action and nakeds and boots and the different protections that can get kind of mirrored with those different concepts and stacking those concepts all. And here's the run. Here's the run and the play pass right off of it, so it looks exactly the same. You just cannot let Fred Warner sniff stuff out. If he knows where it's going, it's kind of like a batting practice fastball. He is just going to devour it. And we have seen that over and over. If Nick Bosa knows where you are going to be and Geno's going to be, he knows that path, and he has been unbelievably destructive in it. So this is also, again, coming off of a bye and a bonus day and bonus opportunities, and these guys know what's on the line. Can't go 0-3 in the division, the Geno Smiths and the DKs. And if you also remember, right, after that first matchup, I think DK is going to have a little something. Because that DB, whatever his name is, posting the Instagram video and all that. These guys don't.
DK didn't play that well in that game, right? That was sort of his one down game this year.
Yeah, he had a couple 50-50 balls, just kind of competitive balls that you would, one down in the end zone and one along the sidelines. Not easy catches, not drops, but tough competitive catches.